Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the MSP Initiative live sessions. I'm joined with Dan Timms of Carbon Systems today. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Pete.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Just saw you a couple weeks ago down in Florida at DattleCon, and here, we went like 7 or 8 months and we didn't see you anything. But
I
anyway,
know.
just a couple quick housekeeping items. Let me get out of the way here.
Sure.
For all of you that don't know, MSP Initiative has the wait a minute. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on 1 second here. I'm just having a quick technical. So here we go, Jen. Okay. So MSP Initiative Live is being streamed live. Join us out there if you're not here. So we are live and running, but we have this great thing coming up in November and at around the IT Nation event at Orlando. And last year it was a great party during the hurricane with the All-American Rejects, but this year is going to be the Ezra, Ray, and Hart, a 90. And boy, what the stink is going on here? My microphone changed. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, gang. So we have the 90s super band, Ezra Ray Hart, that will be playing. So if you are not signed up, please get signed up early, save the rush, and go to mspinitiative.com and go underneath the block parties and you can get registered to do it. So, but Dan, let's kind of jump in here. So how have you been, man?
I've been good. We've been on the road a lot this year. I think we've done close to 30 events this year. So been busy with the events, and then also, launching a new e-commerce site, and it keeps us busy when we're back in the office as well.
That's exciting. So, we look at this IT world, and you guys are in a segment that so many companies have run away from, right? And that's the hardware platform, right? We don't sell hardware and all that, but I think you're finding very much the different, isn't it? What does the trends look like there for you guys?
Yeah, I come from the MSP space. So my background is I've always sold the computers that I wanted my clients to have and to use, and I knew that I could support. More and more nowadays, there's less margins in the hardware for most people, so they're just directing their clients to buy direct from the OEMs and then losing out on that revenue, right? Because not only do they have to take the time to quote that out and add their margins to it, but then when they get the device in, they have to completely set it up. So it's like starting from scratch anyway. So what's the point, right? Might as well make it at least part of it easier on themselves. And that's kind of where we come in.
So, I got time to talk with you guys down at DattleCon, and I thought it was really cool. Like, I've always seen white box providers per se, and you guys are the carbon box provider. You're not a white box provider, right? When was the
Yeah.
last time you saw a white computer roll out, right? They're either silver or some funky color or some kind of carbon color, right? We
It's
have
been
time.
long enough now that they're all yellow box now, right?
So, so here's an interesting conversation that I think I heard from you guys is you're going over, not you specifically, but Carbon Systems is going over to Asia. So what is that about? And what is that? I kind of thought it was really cool to kind of say, this is some of the things that your team is doing to continue to enhance your project and your products. So tell me all about that. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so actually right now, our CEO is probably boarding the plane to go over there to talk to all of our suppliers. He'll be over there for a few weeks and meeting with suppliers, finding out what's new in the hardware space, seeing what we can bring into the fold, and support for our partners to keep them on the latest hardware for their customers. New devices coming out, new feature sets of the current devices that we have, and just keeping that relationship going. So we're not resting on our laurels when it comes to hardware and what we're providing to the MSP. And we're doing all that research so they don't have to, you know.
So, what kind of suppliers do you talk with? I mean, like one of the things that I heard from you when I first met you out on the Channel Strong tour was that you guys, unlike others that will buy just a lot of certain motherboards or whatever, and then they go away and they cut something in, and now you're having different problems because of the uniqueness. You guys tend to do things a little differently, and I think that's something that I would love to hear more about.
Yeah, so when it comes to our products themselves, we curate what we consider a simplified SKU list for our clients. We're going to go ahead and keep the same motherboard, RAM, SSD throughout a product's life cycle so that it's very easy for our MSP partners to standardize equipment throughout their customers' networks. We refresh that hardware every year with new processor generations that come out. But our partners don't need to worry about if the model number is slightly changing or anything like that, and getting a device that has a different driver than the one that they sold a month ago. So it's going to be the same consistent hardware going into their client networks every single time.
So what kind of, what's coming in hardware? What do you know? I mean, obviously your CEO's on the way and you haven't heard all the things, but like, what are the hot interests? Like I've been, in the SaaS world for so long now that I've kind of forgot about hardware, and switches and desktops and handhelds and all that. Unless it's my Apple iPhone, I really don't pay much attention to it anymore, right? So what are the things that are coming out in the products that people should think about? How do they relate to cybersecurity and chipsets and stuff?
Yeah, well, the hardware has been there for a while when it comes to security, TPM chips and being able to encrypt the drive and that type of thing, especially on the mobile device. A lot of the advancements have been on the SaaS side with being able to use autopilot, Intune, other pieces of software like that to deploy the devices for your clients in a secure way. The major updates that we're looking at bringing in are the new 14th gen chips when they're released. Intel just announced those the other day. One of the biggest changes to the chipsets within the last few years has been Intel separating out the performance and efficiency cores, and when coupled with Windows 11, that greatly increases the performance of the machine. Just taking one of those chipsets with Windows 10 and comparing it to a default install of Windows 11, you actually gain performance from that.
Cool. So, do these MSPs really take advantage of that stuff?
I think the adoption has been a little bit slower for Windows 11. This right now, Microsoft is starting to force the hand of everybody and pulling back the support for Windows 10 upcoming here. So more and more MSPs are going out and recommending Windows 11 from what we see. It's not going to be very long before there's going to be no Windows 10 option from a new device standpoint. And so it's not necessarily that the MSPs want to, it's more that they have to.
Right. So, when I look at hardware platforms and I look at SaaS, one of the things SaaS everybody talks about is we have integrations. We have integrations to ConnectWise. We have integrations. Do you guys have any integrations or anything that takes the platform into a PSA or works better with an RMM or any of that? What is that all about?
Yeah, so we just recently integrated all our hardware warranty database with ScalePad. So all the ScalePad partners, MSPs can find all of our warranty information through ScalePad and get their reporting for their QBRs and that type of thing. With our new e-commerce platform that we're launching right now, it is on the roadmap to have an API to integrate with people's PSAs and their RMMs. And of course, I know you already know, but we'll install anybody's RMM on a new machine before it leaves the warehouse. So they can drop ship to a customer, remote in with their RMM, and just be able to set up the computer that way without having to go on site.
No, I didn't know that, Dan. I didn't know you would do a custom. Do you do custom image or do you just do
So yeah, every new computer will get a clean install of the OS. There's no bloatware or anything to remove. It's fully updated the day that it ships. So Windows, BIOS, firmware, and drivers. We'll custom name the host name of the PC and install the RMM and AV solution. So all that tech bench time that the MSP normally has when they're having to receive the hardware, set it up on their bench, get it ready to go to the client, that's all taken care of already. And further configurations can be autopilot, and we'll integrate with that from the warehouse as well.
Nice. Yeah, I just heard this new thing out the other day. Apple announced that they can remotely update your phones or your computers while they're still in the box. So when they come out of the box, that they're going to be ready to go with the latest iOS and update, and they can do the update and then they can shut it back off to conserve that battery that they have charged to whatever percentage it gets charged before it ships. You heard
it sounds like Apple's paying attention to carbon systems these days.
I was pretty shocked. I'm like, wow, if they can do that, like what are they doing to my devices right now without me doing? Is that a feature I can turn off? Is that something I get to control? I mean, it seems like that's such that could turn out to be like a privacy issue, right? Of they have the ability to remotely go in because they want to update instead of you accepting the update.
I'm sure it's along the same lines of out-of-band management for a server, an MSP can go in and remotely power up and power down a server with out-of-band management. Probably Apple's building that into their systems as well now too, and being able to control that. A little bit scary there.
Apple brother is definitely watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're fresh back from DattoCon, a lot of excitement. What did you think of DattoCon? How did it? What did you think of overall of the event and the people, and what did you guys bring back? Any lessons learned?
Yeah, I mean, I brought back the need for a nice long nap. It was a long couple of days. We met with some great partners out there. We had a really good time meeting with some new potential partners, spreading the word of carbon systems, and also we did our unofficial soft launch of this new e-commerce site there. So we got a lot of feedback on that. And we were able to bring this new concept to the channel, and like I said, get a lot of feedback from that. I feel like I've done so many events this last year that at some point it's a little bit of rinse and repeat, right? Go to the event, meet with people, learn what they're doing. But the interesting thing that I find with every single event is wherever our booth is, it's always next to a different partner, right? So I'm constantly learning about other vendors in the space just from, making conversation with my booth mates next to me.
Right.
Yeah, so had a really good time getting to know some of the other vendors that aren't at some of the other shows that we are.
That's cool. That's cool. So you said you launched this. Is it launched now, your e-commerce platform?
It is in a soft launch state right now. We still have an aggressive development schedule for it.
Uh-huh.
But the core functionality is there for people to use, and we're onboarding on a one-on-one basis with current Carbon Systems partners. If anybody was to sign up today to be a Carbon Systems partner, we would take them through the standard onboarding, let them know
Mhm.
that that's available, and then get them set up on that as well.
So tell me about your platform. What's it about? What's it doing for the partners? What's it doing for you?
I mean, much the same way that MSPs, might send somebody direct to an OEM because they don't want to deal with, receiving money, sending quotes, making margin, whatever it may be. The same way that they use us because they want pre-deployed systems. Our new e-commerce platform allows our partners to go into the site, configure a Carbon Systems device or anything off of distribution, put it into a quote with their margin on it, send that out to their client. Their client pays directly on the site, and we ACH them their margin. So they don't have to worry about taxes, shipping fees, including those in their quote. They don't have to worry about receiving money and all the administrative work that's dealt with there, and they can just make sure that they focus on taking care of their customers. Because I don't know about you, Pete, but I don't know many MSP owners that want to be sitting behind a desk quoting the same i5 desktop over and over again.
Yeah, it's unless you've got a configuration, right? And that's nice. You can go and do it, save your configuration. Now, is there an alternate goal that they'll be able to integrate this into their websites or a private portal for their customers to order directly through?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the next evolution of this coming out in the next few months. So what we're going to be able to do is have a subdomain for our partners. Each partner will have their own subdomain. They'll be able to custom configure devices and collections of devices to their customer specifications, give that customer access to the portal. And then that customer, when they get a new user or they need something new, say a new desktop, laptop, all they have to go in and do is select the appropriate collection for that customer, for that new user for the customer, add it to their cart and order it. The MSP still gets their margin, and they never had to send a quote.
So that's pretty cool. You're kind of making your own marketplace for the MSPs without them having to invest and process the order. So it's almost like a referral program, but they're still getting what they want to make on it versus what if you were to go and tell your customer to order on one of your competitors' websites, that would dictate margin or whatever and what they would get back out of that partner program. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. In
That's a
fact,
differentiator.
some of our competitors are pushing MSPs more and more to distribution every day and not letting them buy direct anymore. And that's just crazy to me. Why would you have a good channel partner and then push them away? So we want to help everybody be as efficient and successful as possible.
Nice. I know when you guys were talking about it, and it was whisper as at DattoCon about it was coming and all, but that's kind of cool. So, what's next after that? I mean, you got a cool system that you're doing. You know, I shouldn't say what's next after that is, one of the things that always frustrates me, and I was, when I was an MSP, I was a big HP company, and I used to do 11 to $15 million a year of HP direct or referral business, right? And then it kind of like they all kind of go on these curves, right? And like product becomes super cheap, but support becomes really hard to get. So they're selling through a lot of product, but the support isn't there. Then the prices go up and the support, the prices are going up. So, people aren't buying as many and you're getting different pressures. Where do you guys find yourselves in that sell through product mix versus service, and how do you kind of even that out?
Yeah, for us, first and foremost is about the partner relationship. For the most part, we know our MSP partners can get business quality hardware, a lot of places. Being on that side before, our CEO was an MSP owner as well. We know that the most important part of the relationship is the customer service and the support. So we want to make sure that we're supporting our partners, because at the end of the day, when they're recommending Carbon systems to their clients, whatever we do is going to be a reflection on their business, and we want to make sure they look good. As long as we take care of our partners, they'll keep coming back and taking care of us as well. So that's the most important thing for us. And I think you've probably seen that as we're out there in the channel interacting with our partners, making sure that they have everything that they need.
So what I think you've got some unique ways that you do your service offering.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about that, because every time I hear it, I hear a different piece that you talk about, and I think it's pretty progressive. So tell the audience about that.
So for our warranty and support, everything that we sell comes with a base of 3 years of warranty. And since we're only working with MSPs and not direct to the end user, when issue is reported, we just ask for the serial number, what troubleshooting they've already done. We're not going to put them through a tier 1 scripted support experience. That's honestly a waste of their time and ours. We already know that they've done the basic troubleshooting. Our engineers pick up from where theirs left off. We'll work with the MSP to determine the cause. If it's software related, we'll help them with that. But if it's hardware related, we know that a lot of the lower end systems are going to have depot support, and that takes a long time. You got to find a box and ship it off and hope for an update at some point on if it's going to come back repaired. Or the other typical way of handling it is that a tech is sent out with a single part, probably not going to fix the problem the first time. If it does, great. If it doesn't, you're waiting on another part, another tech who doesn't know what the first tech did. So what we do is we advance cross ship you a complete replacement unit. It's also pre-deployed, fully up to date with the RMM, and our MSP partners can either use that to swap the hardware so they have everything that they need to fix it, or they can swap the whole unit and send the rest back with a prepaid label. But fixing it right the first time, every time.
That's nice. Well, that certainly makes for a better partnership, but I know for them, I know when I was an MSP, it was nothing worse than getting a part and going, and one of two things happened. Either the part that they sent was no good because it was a remanufactured part, it wasn't new, or it was something else and they diagnosed it instead of listening to or working with our tech team to get that part, the right part, so we could fix it. And it forced us into a bunch of different models, like holding spares for clients. Like, if we had 100 notebooks, we'd keep a couple of them on spare ready with an image on it so we could just deploy it very quickly to the client while we brought the other one in to fix it. So I mean, I only wish I had that kind of stuff when I was an MSP, you know.
I did as well. I mean, there's a reason why I'm at Carbon Systems now, because I believe in it, and I really think that it was missing in the industry.
Yeah. So that's unique. So, when you're talking with your partners and, I know we've kind of kicked the bucket and kicked the can a couple times down the street, but why do customers turn to you over one of the big name brands? What is it that gets them attached to a Carbon Systems or another, what gets them out of the big three or the big two, I should say? I don't think there's a big three anymore.
Yeah, well, it's like you were saying earlier, prices will drop with support, and then prices go back up, support's a little better. In those lulls, anytime there's major issues with the products coming out from one of the major OEMs, people start looking around. They start looking, hey, what else is out there? Specifically for MSPs. We have a really good reputation on the MSP subreddit, on IT Business Owners Group, Tech Tribe, all of these places that MSPs congregate online. And we're really proud of that fact that all the things being said about us are good things, and so as we go on and continue to produce these systems and have good luck with them and give really good customer service and support, more and more people are finding out about us. And so that the driver is usually one of the OEMs doing something wrong. But in the end, it's a recommendation either from another MSP, seeing us out at a show, something along those lines that brings the partnership to be between us and new partners.
So, I know when I was talking with you guys at DataCon, you were going over to Asia like we talked about, and there was a partnership with Intel, obviously, because that's the heart of the chipsets. But how do you tie that relationship up with Microsoft?
So
That always baffles me, that like OEMs and that relationship with a big company like Microsoft.
Yeah, so we're considered an OEM with Microsoft. So every device that we sell has a OEM license tied to it. Just like if you were to go to one of the big OEMs for hardware, we have the same relationship with Microsoft. We have an account manager, and we're constantly in contact with Microsoft about new things or issues that we're having, those types of things. And that's just another one of our vendor relationships that we have.
Wow. It perplexes me that it just seems like, okay, you're laying it out like it's just like, well, I'm an MSP and I have a relationship with Microsoft. So, this is what it is. And we're just part of that OEM side of it. So to do that, but I got to think that there's a little bit more tighter integration because your chipsets and your BIOSes and stuff like that your team is working in the background. So there's a lot of, I don't want to say R&D, but I guess it is kind of R&D, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every product that we come out with, there's a ton of R&D that goes into it. But I'll be honest, some of that happens a little bit over my head. I'm responsible for the partner relationships, and people way smarter than me handle those things.
Yeah. So you mentioned you've been on the road with a lot of events this year. So what's your favorite city that you've gone to and why?
Oh man, as you know, Pete, usually we fly in, go to the hotel, do the event, and then fly out. We want to get home to family and everything. There have been a few fun events that I've been to. I know Alec and I explored Chicago a little bit. That was pretty fun. But typically I'm flying in the morning of the event and flying out the night of the last day of the event or the early the next morning. So I don't do a lot of sightseeing, whatever my wife might think.
Well, if you were out with Alec, I can only think that it involved maybe an escape house of some sort,
Yeah,
or a speakeasy, or
definitely a speakeasy.
or both.
It was kind of a combination of both. It was this really cool speakeasy in Chicago that you kind of had to go around and figure out clues. So it was a mixture of both, two of his
That's-
favorite things.
yeah, those are like high on his list of what speakeasies are in town and what escape rooms are available. And usually he will con a dozen people into going, or like who are all like, no, no, no. And it usually ends up at a very late or early morning, I should say, type coming back.
Yeah.
So what do you got left for this year? Anything big?
The only two events that we have left for this year, next week I will be at Channel Pro in LA. And then the first week of December, Dave, our CEO, will be at ASCII Navigate in Hawaii.
I feel bad for him,
I know, right?
but I guess it's coming back. He'll be coming back from Asia and he'll stop in Hawaii. So it just only makes sense to hop the island, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. A little downtime in between.
nice, nice. Wow. Hawaii is definitely a great place to stop. I was stationed there for about a year. So one of those places that I truly love to go, but you can never spend enough time there. So much
Yeah.
to see and enjoy. So well,
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. So
yeah. But LA is not bad right now. It's got to be getting cold in the Tennessee mountains, so or cooler.
yeah. It's actually about 71 degrees and sunny today. I'm in
Nice.
Middle Tennessee,
Yeah,
around Nashville. So pretty nice here today.
very nice. So, are we going to see you at IT Nation?
Not this year. I think
Okay.
we're planning on doing IT Nation, and a few of the bigger other conferences next year. So still working out all those details, but
Right.
IT Nation is definitely top on our list for next year. And if the community block party at the Big was any indication, your block party at IT Nation is going to be pretty insane.
Well, I think based on just who the headliners are, it's going to be insane. I know Jen is on the back end of this call, and she's been working with the team over at MSP Initiative quite a bit to just pull this all together and make it happen. So I'll give her an early accolade because I know she's getting some gray hairs and ready to dye her hair on it. But so coming back to carbon systems a little bit. So what lines do you guys operate in? What are the different product lines that you guys operate or
Yeah,
deliver?
we have, like I said, a pretty simplified SKU list, but that's from our experience in the industry, knowing what 95% of what business customers are going to need. We have a full lineup of desktops, including options with dedicated GPUs. We have a lineup of laptops. One even has a dedicated GPU. So you can go anywhere from a receptionist all the way through a SolidWorks engineer and provide carbon systems hardware for them. We also have an entire lineup of servers that we build in-house. So able to cover the gamut of what people are going to need for their customers.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. You say, you've got some machines and lineups that have dedicated GPUs. I guess that's aimed at like high-end graphic and market architects or high computational graphical involvement, or
Yeah, so on our Titanium i9 workstation, we give people the choice of RTX A2000, which is the successor to the Quadro lineup of NVIDIA, so more the commercial space, or an RTX 4070 Ti. And between those two, you can pretty much cover any intense graphics demand that you need. And then we also have a device that we brought out because of our experience in the space. It's a 12th gen i7 device, has Intel Arc A770 graphics, DDR4 memory, and really we're aiming that at the healthcare vertical. It can be used for a lot of other things, but when MSPs go into, say, a dental office and they have, the digital x-rays, which it used to be that they had to send the x-rays off and get them back, and it would take a little while and you're just sitting in the chair doing nothing. Now it's instantaneous, right? Because they're all digital, but that takes some graphics horsepower. But by all means, you don't need a engineering grade graphics card to render an x-ray. So we're aiming it at that space. The price point is between a standard high-end desktop and a engineering spec desktop. So you're able to have that system in your client at the right price point with the right amount of hardware, not overkill on either of those.
is that one of those little mini square boxes that you guys have? Or is
It's
it
not quite as small as the standard desktop. It's a little bit bigger. It's probably about twice the size, but it is a nice compact design. And that was one of the things we were looking for going into the space of either dental or medical offices, because a lot of times in the dental space, you have these operatories where they have all this equipment jammed in there and they don't have any room for a computer. And they want to make sure it looks nice and everything. So we want to have a nice small footprint device for those use cases.
Yeah, I know my eye doctor that I used to go, I had PC in every room, and then he had his machine that he would snap the pictures of the cornea and look at, and then he would blow them up. And he always, wanted a great display and a great graphics processor in there to do that, so he could show everybody in the room. And of course, he'd focus on the footprint of the computer, and then he'd put this mammoth 27-inch monitor on his countertop, and he'd complain he didn't have space and the desktop needed to be smaller. And I'm like, well, it's not the desktop. You need to put that monitor on a hinge and swing it in and out so it's out of your way, because they set up those little alleyways of, as long as it fits the chair and the optical machine, they can go. So but that's kind
Exactly.
of a niche. That's kind of a cool niche. How does that play into like compliance standards? Is that more up to the MSP to set up that security, or is there something in there that puts that unit into like a HIPAA posture for a compliance or a control or something?
Yeah. For the most part, it's going to be up to the MSP, right? It's more on the software side for the compliance. All of our devices have American-based BIOSes in them. So from a security standpoint with the hardware, the things that the MSP can't, modify or work around, like the BIOS, those will be just fine. But a lot of it's going to be on the tech stack that the MSP is using, whatever security stack they're using, whether it be, EDR or some type of password management system or something like that, that for the HIPAA compliance and everything.
Mm-hmm. So, as you guys get into a space like HIPAA and all that, what does that mean from like add-ons? Are they just simple port add-ons where people plug some device in for like fingerprint reader or some kind of security CAC card through a keyboard. What is that? How do you guys handle something like that?
Yeah, so of course you can add a small USB fingerprint reader. All of our laptops have Windows Hello camera. All the latest gen laptops have a Windows Hello camera for facial recognition, easy sign on. But a lot of the additional security measures, any type of token device, fingerprint reader, you can easily add on to the system.
So it's really flexible and plenty of ports. And of course, you're
Absolutely.
still shipping with VGA and serial ports, right? So,
Not quite, not quite. All of our desktops have at least 6 USB ports plus a couple of USB-C ports for display and a couple of HDMI ports for display. So all of our standard desktop devices run up to 4 monitors natively,
nice.
which is really cool.
I was at a place and I was looking at the back of the desk and I'm looking and they're pushing and they're still running on an old Oki Data dot matrix printer. And I'm
Oh
looking at
man.
this thing and it's a brand new machine. And I'm like, there's no serial port. And there's a USB dongle
Yep.
that they had off going to the old serial cable of the Oki Data line printer. I thought that was like, boy, that $179 printer probably doesn't owe them anything. They should upgrade to a wireless or something else. But I guess if it's running, you just can't break your cold dead fingers off of it, I guess.
Sometimes it has to do with compliance too. About 10 years ago, I had a client that was a trucking company, and all the drivers had to keep logs of when they drove, when they took rests and everything. And this was before digital log applications really made it big. And so they were printing out driver logs on carbon copy through a dot matrix printer, and FedExing them overnight to the drivers, and the drivers would FedEx them overnight back. And then they'd have to scan them all in for record keeping. It was insane. And even 10 years ago, that was like, what are you doing with this? There's got to be a better way.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I've been at it going on 35 years in the channel now, and it just seems like as fast as things progress, there's still those legacy type things out there. And I think some of it's still, I've seen the old IBM System 36s out there where people, and they can't be compliant. I mean, those machines can't be compliant if they were ever in an audit or whatever. There's probably so many vulnerabilities between
Yeah.
the operating system and just the connectivity solution. So,
Yeah. Security by obscurity is not something that you want to base your business on, right?
yeah. So, without a doubt. Um, so, what other trends are you seeing out there? Since you've attended these shows, you've seen a lot of partners. What are you seeing that MSPs are really grasping and running with? What's hot?
I think, I probably sound like a broken record of the industry here, but security is huge. I mean, it has been for a while now. It's not getting any better, I don't think. We're getting better tools and utilities and better knowledge about it. But it's just as important today as it was, 10, 15 years ago. I I remember having clients where the security was like, hey, I got this really great AV software that I'm going to put on and you'll be all taken care of, but today it's all about identity and encryption and zero trust, and making sure that really nobody has the opportunity to get into your network, right?
Yeah.
And so I think security, it's number one on everybody's mind.
So, you know, what kind of cracks me up too is I just keep seeing these vendors coming and emerging. Like, you know, we used to see a pretty even emergence of something, and it would be like a new area would pop up and somebody would come in and they'd be alone for a long time. Security is just like all of these, I don't want to say homegrown, but a lot of MSPs have converted over into a solution that they've channelized and started to push out. But I wonder at what point where that dilution is and where the consolidation starts to occur. Because, you know, I'm looking at some of these I don't want to say password managers because they're a lot more like the cyber QPs or the Evos or whatever, the cyber foxes. They're all competing for that same market, right? There's three, and then there's probably about five or six that we don't even know exist out there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, you know, when do we start to see the consolidation in the security market?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty thankful to be in the hardware space right now with such a unique offering. It I know that if I was an MSP still, if I still had my MSP, my head would be spinning about, you know, what the difference between vendor A and vendor B is, and do you offer the same thing, or and how do those vendors differentiate themselves in the market, you know? Um, how
And
do
that's the
you,
big thing is, you know, I don't want to say they're going to end up taking hits at each other, but you know, they're all friends and now they all used to work together back in the day at like a
yeah,
Datto or a ConnectWise or, you know, a couple MSPs, and they were all friendly. And now, you know, there's some real big competition going in and the lines are drawn. Mostly everybody's still friendly no matter where you compete, right? I know.
right.
But you know, it just at some point, you know, are you just trading customers in a space and diluting the market because of the price to compete and gain market share? You know,
Yeah.
it's almost like it gets commoditized at that point versus a true value. You know, there's some software and SaaS products that are in different spaces that are just high value and nobody else does them, and they touch that security and compliance space. But and then there's others that, okay, so who do I have the best relationship with? Really what it boils down to, right?
Yeah. And at what point does that become like what you were talking about with the OEMs earlier? It's such a race to the bottom in price. You can't possibly, you know, provide the good service and support. And so you try and skinny up on all your admin expenses to bring the price of your product down, and then all of a sudden, you know, you don't have enough resources to accurately or completely support the product. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next, you know, few years with that for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. What's your prediction? When does the consolidation start?
Um, I don't know. Have we seen any consolidation so far? Is any of the major
I
security
think we've
vendors
seen a
gone
little of
through?
the big guys like a Kaseya and a ConnectWise buy some security stuff to build out that stack, but I haven't seen a lot of the little guys other than they're starting to get like rounds of funding and PE money put into them. So,
Yeah,
so I don't know. I guess 18 months, we'll see.
yeah. There might be a bubble at some point, you know. The
I think
market,
there's got to be.
yeah, the market can only bear so much competition, right?
Right. So
Yeah.
cool. So you told us where you're going to be next. What
Yep.
else? What else for year end for Carbon Systems and Dan?
You know, I'm very happy that I can spend a few months working out of the home office after that, and get some of my project stuff done, and really push into the new platform here, and keep all that going and get some good family time in, right?
Well, you got that young guy, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure he's at the point where he's a handful running around. So
He just crawled for the first time this weekend, so now he's all of a sudden all over the place. It was like a light switch went off and he's on the other side of the room, you know. So he's one now, and yeah, having a ton of fun with them. So
It's good. That's good. Well, it does go by fast, and certainly it's a great time of year too, with the holidays coming up and all that, to see the bright, sparkly faces. So
yeah,
that happen on the young ones. So I often said that I really didn't need Christmas presents. It was more fun just watching the kids do that,
exactly.
open and enjoy and laugh and have fun. So that's great. Well, Dan, I am going to say that we've got a couple minutes left. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add before we wind down.
Just thank you so much for having me on, and it was a nice surprise seeing that you were going to be talking to me today. That was fun. I always enjoy talking to you, Pete, and especially seeing you out on the road and hanging out too. So hopefully early next year we'll be at an event together, and we'll get to spend some time and hang out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure we'll talk before then. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, for everybody that goes and or watches this recording, every Tuesday and Thursday, MSP Initiative is live, unless it gets canceled and one of us can't cover for George. George is over in Amsterdam at a PAX 8 event, so I'm feeling really bad for him over there. I think he's touring the Heineken facility and a little bit of Amsterdam. So fun stuff, right? At least it's a cool trip, and he can enjoy himself with that too. But every Tuesday and Thursday live at 1:00. MSP Initiative is here. Don't forget to get over to mspinitiative.com, go to the community block parties and register under the Orlando block parties for the big concert that's coming, Ezra Ray Hart. Hopefully this year we won't have rain and have to go inside. We can stay outside. Last year we did it during that hurricane, which was insane, but it was an incredible party and one that nobody will forget. Even me. I mean, I remember packing up, looking up and seeing the big wheel in Icon Park creaking in the wind, saying, this can't be good. But we will see you next Tuesday. I think Alec is going to be doing Thursday, or Ken. I forget which one, but one of them will be upcoming on Thursday this week. And then George will be back in the saddle next week. And I'm sure we're going to hear all kinds of Eagles type stuff. So especially after the win again, where they've increased their record, but they are playing well. So kudos to them. Thanks everybody for attending, watching, and Dan, most thankfully for you to join us. And I appreciate the conversation and chatting with you all the time. So
absolutely.
take care, my friend. All righty.